Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/get-started. That's greenlight.com/get-started.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
Definitely the mouse droid. That bam, 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 bam sound. It's so iconic, man.
I love the R2 gets shocked sound.
That scream, like when he flies backwards and all his shit flies out.
Oh. Yeah. So good.
Totally.
But I am a generous God.
No, Heath, deeper. His voice is deeper. It's a naturally
it's hard to get my voice deeper with this chain hanging from my nipple. I gotta be honest.
Take me there.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Play later.
Oh, hey Noah, hey Cecil. We were just getting ready for episode 300 by recreating scenes from the 2006 film 300.
Oh, okay. But why is Heath in a gold banana warmer?
Because he's Xerxes.
Why?
Because tall.
Okay, fair.
Fair? Is it fair, Cecil? Is it
so
fair?
why does Tom have a horn on his face?
Oh, that's the closest we could get to a rhino.
Moo. Moo.
Again, fair.
Okay, all right, but the movie isn't anything like what actually happened in today's story.
Oh, no, don't worry about it, Noah. We're just doing it because of the number 300. It's not about today's topic.
No, but it is. The Battle of Thermopylae is the story of 300.
Oh, I thought it was like a temperature-based board game or something.
What?
Exactly. Thank you, Tom.
You could just read what we're doing,
Honestly, I'm just really disappointed I accidentally did something accurate.
Moo.
Well, sure. If it makes you feel any better,
You're getting better, Tom.
this isn't at all accurate.
Nice. Mission accomplished then.
Okay, so I did not have to get my nipple pierced at Claire's. Is that what you're saying?
Artists sacrifice for their art, Heath.
Moo. Thank you, Tom. It was weird. Hello and welcome. Citation Needed, a podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts. Because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Heath, and this is podcasting. And I'm joined by my... Somebody has to do one. We have to do... It's the one.
Yep.
You gotta get out of the way.
You gotta do
You
one.
gotta get out of the way.
We get one.
Absolutely.
I am joined, of course, by my phalanx of shirtless, oily, very pale white guys. We have 4 men who put the light in hoplite: Cecil, Noah, Eli, and Tom.
I mean, I'm sure I'm pale under this hair, but I'm not brave enough to find out. So
dude,
I'll agree.
Your body lights are gonna have to be like those eyeless newts they find in caves and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a raccoon in here somewhere. What are you talking about?
It's beyond the raccoon.
Hoplite is going to be the name for my new non-alcoholic beer company.
Nice.
Hoplite. That works. All right, Noah, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event are we going to be talking about today?
Today we're talking about the Battle of Thermopylae.
And what led you to choose this topic?
It's episode 300, and I couldn't help it.
Ooh, 300.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, all right. So what was the Battle of Thermopylae?
It's history's most famous example of a group of people going, if you think about it, we lost so good that time it should count as a win. The Battle of Thermopylae was a 3-day battle between the Persian Empire and a coalition of Greek armies that culminated in one of the most famous last stands in all of ancient history. In fact, I've heard it described as the oldest actual historical event that the average American knows about, and I think that might actually be accurate.
Oh, and the foundation of Carthage by the Phoenicians and what would be modern day Tunisia is just chopped liver. Such bullshit, man. It's bullshit.
Yeah, fucking Genesis.
You hear that, Heath? We're just one homoerotic, racist, and anachronistic depiction of ranked choice voting away from paradise in this nation.
Pretty excited about that.
Now, of course, as with any historical event that's been so omnipresent for so long, a lot of myths have glommed onto the actual story such that it's hard to separate out the fact from the fiction sometimes. And while the average American may be aware of this event, I'd say that most of them probably have some egregious misconceptions about it as well. Like, for example, did you know that the entire 3-day battle actually happened at normal speed? Anyway.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So
Weird,
hopefully,
furious.
over the course of this episode, we can clear up a few of those misconceptions.
Yeah, I don't even know about that, Noah. You all know how time slows down when you're like really bored or stabbed with a sword.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Probably might have felt that way. So, okay. So this battle is actually the opening salvo for the second Persian invasion of Greece. And generally speaking, when it comes to invasions, if there's a second one, it's because the first one didn't go great, right?
I'm looking at you, Gulf War One. Huh?
We crushed that. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Shock it all.
Now, the first invasion started when a Greek colony was like, hey, we want to revolt against the Persians. We'll help. And Athens was like, we got nothing on our calendars until the Wednesday after next. Why the fuck not? And this did not go well for the Greeks. The Persians decided to invade Greece as punishment. Now, I should interject here that one of the most famous scenes connected to the Battle of Thermopylae, especially by people who only know it from that god-awful Zack Snyder movie, actually happened here.
I'm so mad. I didn't know it was a Zack Snyder movie, and I really like that movie. I'm pretty mad about that detail.
So, of course, this is the bit where Darius sends emissaries to all the major Greek city-states and asks for a token of submission in the form of earth and water, and the Spartans kick him down a well and say, you'll find both down there. And then presumably just drink dead guy water from then on.
That's so gross. It's so gross.
Now, the Athenians, who prided themselves on being a bit more civilized than Spartans, held a trial and sentenced the emissaries to be thrown into a well. So that was...
Yeah, and again, that was all at regular speed.
Yeah.
That's really disappointing to hear. Turns out Leonidas just kicked that guy into the well, and he was like, all right, this is Sparta. He's gone. Scribe, write it down with slow-mo. And I said my thing first, just for the record. Apparently I sound like Bernie Sanders. I don't know why.
Interesting.
Heath's bad at accents.
There's so much emphasis on murder. They really should have focused on their wellness.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Tom.
Wellness.
This is what happens.
Oh, I
with
just
Tom.
had
Where's the shit tits?
Nice.
Come on.
Shit tits, Tom.
Shit tits.
First shit tits of the
Thank you.
year.
Thank you. Don't
Cheers
take
to you,
my
Tom.
shit
Take the
tits
shit
away
tits,
from me.
Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Somebody loves me.
What do we
Suffice
always
to
say? Take the shit tits.
All right, so suffice to say, Athens and Greece say no in dramatic fashion, and then in a reminder that international diplomacy used to be even dumber than it is now, the Spartans tried to appease the Persian king by sending 2 of their guys for him to throw into a well. Now, in a fortunate turn,
I need volunteers.
yeah, right, yeah, exactly. Now, in a fortunate turn for those 2 guys and pretty much nobody else, Darius decided not to exercise that option.
He was like, what? They sent me 2 guys? I don't know. That kind of ruins it, right? What am I digging a well just for that now? Come on. No.
So instead, he invades Greece. Ultimately, though, his first effort at an invasion is turned back by the Athenians in the legendary Battle of Marathon.
Yeah, everyone signed up for that battle on New Year's, but only 3 bloody nippled weirdos actually showed up for it. So it was weird.
Yeah, and somehow all of ancient Greece got conquered by like 3 Kenyans with 11-foot tall legs.
No, okay, so Darius fully intended on invading Greece again, but better this time. In fact, he supposedly made one guy's full-time job reminding him after every meal that he still needed to punish Athens.
Okay. I'm picturing just like angry teenager Darius getting mad about that reminder guy after like half a day.
Right.
The guy's like, all right, that was lunch. You need to punish Athens. I will punish Athens. I will. I was going to do it before you asked me. Now I don't want to. It looks like I wasn't going to do it. Now I don't want to do it right now.
Well, alas, he never did do it because before he was able to raise an army for a second go of it, Darius died and the job fell to his son and heir, Xerxes the First.
Xerxes just looking at his dead dad, wondering what the string on his finger is for. Like, what the fuck is that?
The post-meal guy is like, it is my time. Now is my time. No, so, of course, if you want to invade Greece from Persia, the first thing you got to do is get an army there. And that's tricky because there's water in the way. Now, there's a huge naval component to this first invasion and the second invasion that I'm going to ignore for the sake of brevity. But it actually, the naval part in the first invasion went worse than the Battle of Marathon. So Xerxes was really standoffish about loading his army into ships and floating them over the Aegean Sea. Instead, he ordered a bridge to be built over the Hellespont, which we know today as the Dardanelles. And that's a huge fucking bridge, right? Like today, there's one bridge that spans it and it's like 3 miles long. There are narrower points, sure, but regardless, it's a huge river to span with like 5th century BCE technology.
Okay, so for the record, the Persians are building bridges and not killing diplomats, while the Greeks are like, ha, we figured out how to fuck each other's butts, you brown savages.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Gonna make a movie about how when we won.
What?
Right, yes, exactly. Now, okay, so famously, the first bridging effort fails.
Yeah, if I remember from the Brooklyn Bridge episode, this is a problem that doesn't get much better for a really long time.
It takes a while.
Shockingly
It takes a while,
long
man.
time, yeah. Now, it's hardly worth mentioning this failure, except that Xerxes' reaction is so amazing. According to Herodotus, whose account is like 80% of what we know about this battle, Xerxes had the crew that designed and built the bridge executed, and then he had the river itself punished. He ordered it to be whipped 300 times and pierced with red-hot irons.
The
And
water?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And as they were whipping the ocean, his soldiers were to castigate it too. Here's the quote, according to Herodotus. It's probably my favorite in all of ancient history. Quote, bitter water, Xerxes the king will pass over you whether you want it or not. In accordance with justice, no one offers you sacrifice, for you are a turbid and briny river.
Okay. Got a little long for the chant.
Yeah.
I love when the chanting at like a protest gets too ambitious. Nobody's getting the cadence right. Like, how are you doing that? Like, bitter water, Xerxes the king will pass over you. Nope. Fuck.
No, it's we know where this bridge will go. Just got to span this water flow.
Nice.
Okay.
Obvious.
Do you think-
Much better.
Do you think as they were standing there plunging hot irons into water to punish it, they turned to each other and they were like, hey, at least it's not the Electoral College, am I right? That's fucking stupid.
No, but ultimately, they build 2 pontoon bridges, and at the same time, they dig a huge fucking canal across the isthmus of Mount Athos, harder to say than you might think, which will allow the Persian fleet to bypass the spot that fucked them over so hard in the first invasion. Both of these are incredible feats of engineering by the standard of today, let alone in 480 BCE when they were doing it. So the army heads out and crosses the Hellespont with Xerxes personally leading the way. Now, obviously, you can't build bridges and dig giant canals without people noticing. So for years leading up to this invasion, the Athenians are preparing for war. Both they and the Persians are hard at work winning the loyalty, or failing that, at least the neutrality of other Greek city-states. And by the time Xerxes is on the march, they put together an alliance with Sparta, Corinth, and a couple, like a dozen minor city-states, which is actually a fairly impressive feat of diplomacy at this point in history, given the fact that many of those city-states in the alliance were actually at war with one another at the time.
Guys, we're all doing a timeout if the show up, right? Like, we get together.
That's right. Nothing unites
them.
white people like non-white people.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Now, of course, an alliance drawn from a bunch of different groups with their own leaders and their own standards and stuff, it's going to have several drawbacks, one of which is that it can't mobilize as quickly as any single army of the same size, right? So when they first get word that Xerxes has crossed the Hellespont, they realize that by the time they could get their whole army in the field to face him, that he'd already be there. So they settle on a delaying strategy. between the spot where the Persian army was and the spot where they were going, they'd have to pass this narrow pass called Thermopylae, also known as the Hot Gates after nearby hot springs. So even an overwhelming advantage in numbers could be minimized by just a few ranks of hoplites.
It's like, in modern terms, it's like not having enough votes for the House members to vote you in as speaker for the first, say,
Right, exactly.
Let's say for the first 14 times. Let's say 14.
Those were practice.
Boy, there's a lot of
Matt
similarities
Gaetz.
between this story and that one, yeah, actually.
I'm just picturing the honeymooning couple just trying to relax in the hot springs of Thermopylae, and an
Right.
army of Persians shows up to fight. Everyone has a 6-pack. The new groom's just trying to sink into the water, embarrassed. Like,
What? I like wearing my tunic in the hot springs. What?
I
I
sunburned.
always hold my arms up in the air like this and a little bit back. It's normal.
It's relaxing. Now look, I know that Cecil mentioned the angles of some spears once 5 years ago and has been taking shit for it
Thank
ever
you,
since.
Noah.
But even with the risk of eternal indignities just staring me right in the face, we have to talk about the topography here a bit because the terrain actually plays something of a starring role in this story.
Yeah, don't worry, Noah. Now that you've clarified that you have to talk about the topography, we're all going to be super cool about it.
Okay, good. That was my hope. Now, it's not quite the cramped highway-sized pass that we're often led to believe it is. The narrowest point from what I was reading was probably about 100 meters wide. To be clear, that is far wider than you could reasonably defend with a line of hoplites. But the ground was marshy and hard to pass on both sides. So the only spot where you could like get chariots and cavalry through was like a far more constricted, damn near highway-sized spot in the middle.
Okay, just Leonidas yelling out orders. Fill up the whole space. What? It's kind of muddy on the sides. Is that what you said? Okay, put up stanchions. I don't know. Maybe a sign that says wet floor. I don't know.
And do you want us to stand at like an angle? Because there's going to be some nerd in the far future who's really interested in these little tidbits, man. Really interested.
Oh, actually, sorry, sir. It's all very confusing. The protractor won't actually be invented until 1801. So this is going to take a minute. This is going to take a minute.
Look at Pythagoras.
A minute.
He's
A minute. Nicely done.
oh, nice.
A minute.
Nice. Hold on.
Clever.
Now,
Very clever. That joke had several degrees. I liked it.
Oh.
yeah.
I thought it was a cute one.
I thank you. Now,
Somebody
so
do
to
up
be
too.
What
clear,
happened to us? We used to talk about pussy.
now, to be clear, the reason there are only 300 Spartans in this story is because the fucking
Radian.
game was on. Like historians usually emphasize the religious nature of this or that ongoing ceremony, but this invasion happened during the Olympics, and nobody wanted to leave until they found out who won the fucking
No way.
like rock hockey tournament.
Really?
Yeah.
Rock
Yeah. So Leonidas and his famous contingent were just the guys who drew the short straws
What?
and weren't on the Spartan rock hockey team, I guess.
Zack Snyder, you
but they-
lied
so they-
to me.
Right? Yeah, no, but they sent a much smaller force than they could have because they were kind of busy at the moment.
I said, dear, that I would take the garbage out when the Bulls game is over. Okay?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That,
So-
but with war.
So they only got the Spartans who hated sports. They're just sent to death in a mud tread over boy god Xerxes, and they're like, at least we don't have to watch the sports ball, am I right?
Now, of course, the 300 Spartans were far from alone here. They were reinforced along the way by thousands of additional troops to the point that by the time he reaches the Hot Gates, Leonidas is leading an army of 7,000 people. That is a fuck ton more than 300. To be fair, though, it's way the fuck less than Xerxes' army to a much way the fuckier degree, right? Now, we don't actually know how big the Persian army is, and the ancient sources are no help because Herodotus might as well say it's 11 billion, right? His actual claim is 2.6 million military personnel and an equal number of support personnel. Yeah, that's fucking silly. There's no goddamn way that any empire of the day could muster or supply or move an army anywhere near that big.
Just one ancient guy with one of those thumb clicker counters yelling at everyone not to move around so much. Like, hey, can you stand still? Come on, man. I gotta start over now. God damn it.
11, 15, 19. Fuck, man. Come on.
So now the estimates
Throw
from
that
modern
fucker down
scholars.
a well.
I have to do the topography. I have to. They took my clicker.
So the estimate from modern scholars varies quite a bit, but they generally fall in the range of 120 to 300,000 soldiers. Now, as near as I can tell, though, those are estimates of the largest sized force Xerxes could have realistically mustered, given like the logistical capabilities of the time, the size of the population, the wealth of the empire, etc. In other words, they're not direct estimates of how big his army was so much as how big his army could feasibly be. What's more, we don't know what percentage of that army was dedicated to fighting Leonidas.
Ugh, leave it to Noah to skeptic 300 men versus 2 million down to, I don't know, man. It sounds pretty close to me.
So, but what we do know, though, is that the Greeks were significantly outnumbered, right? Like by a lot, like possibly by as much as 40-1, but almost certainly by at least 20-1. But what the Greeks lacked in manpower and arrows, they made up for in abs, dramatic yells, and slow motion beefcake shots.
Nice. All right. Well, as of now, Xerxes is still 30 feet tall, and he has a team of clan wizards with cartoon grenade balls. That's official. We'll see what happens with all of that.
canon.
But first,
All right.
quick break. Some apropos of nothing.
And then Leonidas was like, earth and water, you'll find plenty down there. And then boom, he kicked the guy right into the well.
Oh man, yeah. Admittedly, that's pretty cool, but I still don't understand why he had to pick our well. Oh god,
I mean, it's right in the center of town.
a cliff. Kick him off the cliff into the ocean, man.
Obviously, but what's he going to say? Oh, that's an interesting offer. Would you like to discuss it on a nearby cliff?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hilarious. Okay. Do you see the guy down there?
Oh, I see him. This dude is messed up.
Yeah. Well, the king kicked him down a well. Can you like grab him or something? Oh fuck!
Yeah.
Can you grab him?
Oh, God.
What? What?
It's like trying to hug an egg someone dropped off a building.
Okay. Thank you for that vivid metaphor.
Well, you're welcome. Get me out of here.
I go. Well, stop eating fucking feta, and I'll pull you out.
Hey guys. Hey, dude, is the water all bloody down there?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, yeah. Big time bloody down here.
Fuck.
What?
I was gonna make soup tonight.
Well, it's gonna taste like blood, man.
Yep.
Damn it.
How badass was it when he said the thing, though?
Oh, no, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Totally cool, man.
And we're back. When we left off, a bunch of Greeks got stuck working a double shift on Super Bowl Sunday, and about 11 billion Persians are going to show up at the restaurant now. Great. What happens next, Noah?
It's pretty close. All right. So Xerxes' army is bearing down on him, but Leonidas, his 300 Spartans, and his 6,700 various Greeks that popular history largely ignores, reach Thermopylae first, and they show up with a few advantages, right beyond the abs and the dramatic yells that I mentioned before the break. First of all, Greek hoplites way better armored than the average Persian soldier. The Persian army was built to fight big set piece battles in wide open areas against enemies that relied heavily on cavalry. Greek armies, on the other hand, were built to fight other Greek armies more or less toe to toe. The terrain heavily favored that kind of fighting.
Okay, no fair. At least some of you guys are supposed to be on horses. Oh, this is bullshit. This is bullshit.
I'm tagging in the rhino. Fuck this.
So more than that, they had the home turf advantage. And yes, that means that they're more aware of the lay of the land and they're better acclimated to the climate and shit like that. But it also means that they're closer to their supplies, right? The Persian army has this huge supply line to deal with. And they can't just park their enormous army in one place and count on there being enough open land to graze their horses indefinitely. This army has to keep moving to stay viable, which means that if they can't advance, they have to retreat. The Greek army, on the other hand, could occupy the pass at Thermopylae more or less indefinitely.
Cool, yeah. Like Eli coming to a complete stop at the end of the entrance ramp. But I somehow turned around.
Need to congratulate myself for being such a brave boy, Heath. I don't know when you think I can do that.
Now, for all the tactical advantages that the area offered to Leonidas, there was one huge weakness: a mountain pass that led across the highland parallel to the Hot Gates that could be used to outflank them. Now, apparently, this route wouldn't have been sufficient to take the whole army through. It was too narrow and rocky to take like their big supply wagons and their cavalry and shit over, but it would be more than enough to get infantry around behind the Spartans.
Right. You're not getting your giant flesh demons in shackles over that pass. And big pin in that for later.
No, that's
right?
that is historically accurate. Yes, they will not bring any giant flesh demons in shackles over that pass.
Come on!
But to be clear, the Greeks knew about the pass and they defended it. Leonidas positioned a detachment of 1,000 men to block it before the Persians ever got close.
Yeah, but one of them looked like Quado from Total Recall, all grown up, and he was like, he was super pissed about the Spartan state-sponsored eugenics policy that they had. So it's a whole thing.
It's not entirely
very angry.
Accurate.
Very angry.
So anyway, Xerxes' army finally arrives at the Hot Gates, and his first move is to send out an emissary to ask if they'd rather have money than get killed.
Okay.
Right?
Well, since I know there's a battle that follows, I definitely also know none of my ancestors were there making these decisions.
Not of Spartan lineage, are you there, Tom? So they offer. Well, actually, it's nobody's ancestors were at this particular battle. So they offer Leonidas a bunch of land and future military aid, and all he had to do was hand over his weapons. And this is, of course, when Leonidas famously utters "Molon Labe," which is the motto of the Greek army to this day, and roughly translates to "You can have my spear when you pry it from my cold dead hand."
Okay, that's a lot for just Molon Labe, right?
Well,
so at some point they were like, all right, new language, pretty new language. Here we focus mostly on spear stuff, right? This is Sparta. So let's see, first word. I'm thinking, you can have my spear when you... And that'll be Mola, right? Okay, so we're off to a good start.
It's okay. It's literally closer to "come get them," but yeah, so something like that. Yeah. So this is
ruined it.
Ruined it.
I'm ruining everything today.
Do more topography. Boo.
So this goes on for a couple of days. Xerxes will send somebody along with a slightly better offer than last time. So Spartans will say something pithy and badass. Rinse, repeat.
So I'm just going to write down the number I'm thinking on this piece of parchment and slide it over to you.
I'm going to scroll 300 on it and scroll it back. So the whole time, of course, Xerxes is arranging his armies, reinforcing his camps, etc. And on the 5th day, he attacks. First, he orders 5,000 archers to fire on the Greek position, which is damn near one archer per Greek. Remember that 1,000 of his 7,000 people are on the mountain pass. But archers aren't terribly effective against heavy infantry at this point in history, right? The Greeks are all carrying wooden shields. They're all wearing bronze helmets. So the arrows are mostly like glancing off or thunking harmlessly into their shields.
Hey, guys, look, I'm a hedgehog. I'm a hedgehog.
Yeah.
Some of the arrows do get through to them in the second volley, and gold rings just go flying out of a few of them.
So eventually, Xerxes orders a full frontal assault.
Caliente.
He orders it in waves of 10,000 men. The only record we have of this encounter comes from Diodorus Siculus, who says only that the Greeks were, quote, superior in valor and in the great size of their shield, end quote. I tend to think the latter was more impactful than the former. But as jingoistic as the whole, well, we had the most valor may have been coming from a Greek historian, that doesn't mean it wasn't true, right? So keep in mind that the Persian army is mostly made up of variously subjugated peoples that are trying to add to some other dude's empire in the far reaches of the universe that they're aware of. And the Greek army is mostly made up of more or less volunteers defending their way of life. I mean, obviously not dying trumps all the other motivators, but it's not unreasonable to think that the Greeks had their hearts in this one a little bit more.
Yeah, you know what? It's a really long walk back to Persia. So I'm just going to let someone stab me and see where that takes me.
Yeah.
It'd be worse. There's a bunch of traffic on the bridge.
So throughout the first day, the Greeks rotated different cities' armies to the front to prevent battle fatigue, and they didn't give up an inch. The sources we have put the casualties from that first wave in the order of thousands of dead Persians at the cost of 2 or 3 Spartans. Probably not super accurate. So Xerxes decides to send in the heavy hitters. He sends an elite corps of 10,000 men called the Immortals for the next wave. They fail to live up to that title. The Greek army feigns retreat, gets the Immortals all out of line in pursuit, then turns around and just phalanxes the shit out of them.
All right, they're running away. We're winning. Fuck, they're turning around. They're turning around. Go in the mud part. Mud part now. Ignore the stanchions. Just go in the mud part. We'll stop if you stop.
So after the Immortals come up empty-handed, Xerxes decides to call it a day. His army goes back to lick its wounds. Next morning, he decides to try a different tactic known as the exact same thing, but againer, right? He sends another 10,000 men who get themselves soundly defeated. And just as he's wondering what to do next, a Greek trader by the name of Ephialtes shows up and tells him about the mountain pass. Now, this betrayal is so legendary that the very name Ephialtes would eventually come to mean nightmare in the Greek language. So that night, Xerxes sends one of his generals along with 20,000 men along the mountain pass. The troops that Leonidas had stationed there see that force coming, realizing that they're outnumbered 20-1, realize that they don't have a sweet, narrow pass to defend in slow motion or whatever, and they retreat. They send a runner down to warn Leonidas, who calls a war council at dawn of the next day. So pretty much everybody's like, okay, so we retreat then. But Leonidas realizes that if they all retreat, they're going to be opening the road for the Persian cavalry. Right? So only infantry can make it along the mountain pass. So a retreating army could get a head start on them and live to fight another day. But if the cavalry broke through, they would be routed. So Leonidas vows to stay and hold the pass with his 300 Spartans.
I have one condition, brothers. When you tell this story, you guys have to leave yourselves out of it, right? The whole thing at the beginning is just tell this part with me and my bros.
Just when you offered to help, just say that I said, "Oh, we are Spartan." We all said it together, and it was.
I kicked you down a well. You gotta say.
Also, I killed a wolf that one time. You all remember that?
With my bare
It's
hands.
very important.
My friend fucked my wife.
So I should. So I should note here, by the way, that what I've offered is the most generous and heroic possible interpretation of Leonidas's actions. It's also possible that he was just bad at war. Right, so there was a super strong cultural imperative in Sparta to never retreat no matter what. So it's possible that this was just a pig-headed decision that didn't actually serve any other purpose but personal aggrandizement. And by the way, if that was the goal, it worked fucking wonderfully. But regardless of his reasoning, Leonidas decided to mount a rearguard action with his 300 Spartans and 700 Thespians and 400 Thebans and 600 or so other various Greeks that history hasn't really been as kind to.
Okay. You guys are all picturing 300 the musical now because thespians, right?
I am. Thank you, Heath. Yes.
Like sharks and jets. They're doing a rumble.
Yeah, it's snapping at each other. Couldn't be any worse than the movie. Yeah. For all the build-up and the historic notoriety, from that point, the Spartans just go get their asses kicked, right? Every indication is that they held the pass for another, hour and a half, if that. Early in the morning, a Persian contingent advances from the west just as the outflanking force is approaching from the east. So Leonidas' army charges at the smaller of the two forces. This starts as a spear fight. Spears don't last very long in battle, so very quickly they switch to their short swords. According to Herodotus, 2 of Xerxes' brothers fell during this part of the battle. That sounds a little unlikely at first, but you have to keep in mind that Persian kings had harems at the time, so Xerxes probably had literally hundreds of brothers. So now for his part, Leonidas is killed in the fight. He's shot down by Persian arrows. There's supposedly a scuffle over possession of the body, and the Greeks get it, but then they're like, "Oh, we're fucking surrounded. That means absolutely nothing. We're our space is just dying."
Why'd you say haha?
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah,
this is nothing. You're right.
They call dibsies though. If they call dibsies, that's it. It doesn't.
Well, that must have been it. Yeah, but then they got mowed down. A few of the Thebans tried to surrender, but the Persians mowed them down as well. According to Herodotus, the final tally of the battle was 4,000 dead Greeks to 20,000 dead Persians. Now, after the battle, Xerxes is so pissed that he orders Leonidas' body to be beheaded and crucified. His army breaks through into Greece. They sack the 2 nearest cities that refuse to submit to Persian dominance. By the time they get to Athens, it's pretty much evacuated, but he burns it to the ground anyway. And then he sends a dude back the next year to burn it down again, like to the grounder. Now, eventually, the Greeks were able to mount a defense at the Isthmus of Corinth, and a decisive naval victory ultimately turned the Persians back after months of just stomping around and raising cities and shit. So, as infatuated as history has been with the Battle of Thermopylae ever since, it's hard to see how things would have turned out a hell of a lot different if Leonidas and his guys just stuck around and saw the end of the rock hockey tournament.
All right. And if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, what would it be?
Wait until after the game to do your chores.
Okay. Good lesson. Are you ready for the quiz?
I'm still watching the game. Okay, now I'm ready.
All right, Noah. Clearly, the Battle of Thermopylae serves as an inspiration to us all. So, what should be its inspirational motto? A. Live, laugh, lose. B. Eat, pray, perish. C. Rise and grind your bones to dust. D. Live every day like it's your last. No, really.
It's got a couple good answers there. I'm going to have to go A, live, laugh, lose.
Live, laugh, lose. You got it. You got it.
All right. No, which of the following is my favorite fun fact about the language of ancient Greece? A. It was originally written from right to left, but then for a while, they had a system called boustrophedon, in which the writing would alternate direction every line, so you could read it in like snake formation without jumping your eyes back after every line, which is awesome. Then they switched from left to right. B. They invented vowels. First alphabet to have vowels.
Nice.
C. The word idiot is derived from a word in Greek that basically meant guy who says, I don't really follow politics or news or public affairs. So that's where idiot comes from. Or D. They had a word for a meat dish that is 171 letters long.
Jesus Christ.
But they can still say, you can have my spear when you pry it from my cold dead hands. Go fuck yourself, you insane, beautiful, oily giant, in 4 syllables and 9 letters.
Those are all so good. Like, see, like idiot does have vowels in it, so that's tempting. Bastrophodon, by the way, that comes from the term for as the ox plows. So you plow back and forth in that way. But so I'm gonna have to go a secret answer E, all of the above.
That's correct. Well done. Reasoned it out.
All right, Noah. What was the thespian musical about the Spartan last stand at Thermopylae? A. Glee Onitis. B. Hoplite Express. C. Stabaret. Or D. Grease. Grease.
Obviously, it's D, but with the SE at the end. No, obviously, it is D, Grease.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is Stabaret. I'm very sorry.
That was good.
It's distracted.
Cecil, well done. You stumped him. You are the winner.
All right, Tom's going to go next.
Yay.
All right. Well, for Tom, Noah, Cecil, and Eli, I'm Heath. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and Tom will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can hear Tom and Cecil on Cognitive Dissonance, and you can hear Eli, Noah, and myself on God Awful Movies, Scathing Atheist, Skeptocrat, and D&D Minus.
Wow, that's way more shows than them.
It's more if you just count it. Also, you can make a per-episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod if you enjoyed what you heard. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, listen to past episodes, connect us on social media, or take a look at the show notes, check out citationpod.com.
And so I said to him, why not just do this by a cliff next time?
A cliff! That's exactly what I suggested. Ugh.
Guys, are you still pulling?
Why are you lifting him up the well?
You want to trust him to winch you up?
Okay, no, that's fair.
What?
I said we're going to get you up here.
Nice. Because at this point, I'm basically holding a wet trash bag full of Kinder eggs. You know what I'm saying?
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/getstarted. That's GREENLIGHT.com/getstarted.